Hello and welcome back to Ada Pulse, the community-funded news channel, keeping you up to date with all the news and emerging projects that are in and around the Cardano ecosystem. And remember, because we're community-funded, there is no coin shilling, paper motion. We don't discuss token price. We're just here to disseminate information and deliver it to you in a way that's easy for you to understand. So today we are discussing Edinburgh Decentralization Index, the first decentralization index developed by IOG and the Edinburgh University. Now, decentralization is quite a highly used buzzword, and a lot of people don't really fully know what it means, and it has lots of different sort of variations about it. So it's a good topic, and this is by another new writer of ours. So this is Laura. So we've got a girl on the team, and she's done a great article here. So, and again, that's all thanks to the funding that we got from you guys. So on that note, do remember to click the like button, hit subscribe, and hit that bell button so you can get notified as soon as we've got content available. And do share far and wide. Remember, we are an educational platform, and we do want to reach as many people as possible. So I'm Josh from ATM Stake Pool, your presenter for Ada Pulse. Let's just crack on with this. Now, when we talk about blockchains, decentralization is probably one of the first things that pops up. And the reason it's there is to help to ensure that the network is secure, resilient, and resistant to censorship or interference. But you've got to remember, not all blockchain projects prioritize decentralization to the same degree. And some may even sacrifice it in favor of other goals, like scalability, for example. Even veteran chains like Ethereum, which are, massively advanced in their development, can still have weaknesses in terms of decentralization. So this is why it's important to be able to compare the different blockchain protocols, objectively in terms of decentralization. Because by doing that, we can better understand the strengths and weaknesses of different projects and how they measure up in terms of this sort of critical aspect of the blockchain technology. Importance of decentralization of public blockchain. Now, as I said a minute ago, when you talk about blockchains, you talk about decentralization as one of the key features of any blockchain network. So in a decentralized blockchain, power is distributed among a number of participants rather than just one single person or entity. So the idea is to make it more difficult for any one person or entity to control or manipulate the network. Now, decentralization is massively important along with security and scalability, what they call the blockchain trilemma. So you need a way to independently measure the level of these things. So this is where we start with decentralization. And unlike in other industries, in the blockchain side, it just doesn't exist. What is the Edinburgh Decentralization Index, or EDI? So here, the Edinburgh Decentralization Index comes into play. The Edinburgh Decentralization Index is an index developed by the University of Edinburgh in collaboration with IOG, as we all know, built Cardano, to measure the level of decentralization of cryptocurrencies. So from this index, it's possible to have a practical and objective measurement of how decentralized a blockchain project is. Why do we need the EDI? There's already loads of different metrics that are used to measure decentralization in cryptocurrencies, such as initial token distribution metrics, the number of individual wallets staked, and the total number of validator nodes or stake pools. And all these metrics can help indicate the degree of decentralization in a particular cryptocurrency, but they may not provide a complete picture. Because if you think about it, just having two independent nodes, that is automatically decentralized, whereas having many is obviously more decentralized. The EDI is intended to add additional value to these existing metrics by providing benchmarking criteria for establishing and measuring decentralization. If successfully applied to the cryptocurrency space, the index could help lay the foundations for realizing true decentralization in the blockchain industry. The development of the EDI is a significant step towards understanding the decentralization of blockchain networks. So the index will provide a standardized and objective method for measuring the decentralization of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, because they can't be easily compared. Because like I said a minute ago, just having two nodes is essentially decentralization. But if one has 1,000 more nodes than the other, then that does make it more decentralized. But there are other factors too. So this kind of index will be particularly useful when comparing the decentralization of these different networks, because they all do work differently. EDI Methodology. So the EDI has been in development for really only several months, really. But check out this tweet as they were introducing it in Edinburgh at the IOHK Fest. But here you can see it measures decentralization of blockchain networks beyond counting the number of validators and their power or weight over the system, which is the consensus protocol. So it's a major leap forward in our industry. So yeah, like I said, in that example, when I was talking about nodes, what they're saying, there's more to the story than that. Since the EDI is currently under development, like I said, they've only been going a few months, we're going to look at a rough methodology and metric system that they're applying, but their goal is to provide sort of the comprehensive and reliable measure of decentralization in blockchain networks. But to achieve this, they've got to use a range of metrics from various disciplines. That's including economics, information theory, and network science. Layer of the EDI. Now, it's probably best we start with this image. So, the EDI dissects blockchain systems into multiple layers. They're called strata, which encapsulate various sort of categories. The strata that the EDI focuses on include sort of API, tokenomics, consensus, network, software, and hardware. Assessment parameter. So here, if we go through this image so we can see it all in a bit more detail, the EDI then analyzes the parameters of these layers in a technical and obviously an impartial manner to assess the decentralization of a particular blockchain network. Now, each of these strata plays a vital role in understanding the decentralization of a blockchain network. The EDI will examine each stratum in order to identify any potential risks to decentralization in relation to relevant properties of blockchains, such as safety, liveliness, privacy, stability, all that kind of stuff. So, for example, centralization at the consensus level could increase the risk of attacks on transaction validation. Centralization at the tokenomics level could increase the risk of price manipulation. And centralization at the network level could increase the risk of failure or censorship, through the infrastructure. So, to assess decentralization, the EDI will collect metrics from, across different dimensions of blockchain systems and assign weights to these metrics. The metrics will then be, sort of condensed into a single index that represents the overall decentralization of a system. So by doing that, the EDI plan to provide a comprehensive and objective measurement of decentralization in blockchain networks. So with the EDI, each blockchain will have an easy to understand quantitative assessment which can be accessed by anyone to make informal decisions. The team behind the EDI. Now, the index is being developed by a team of researchers and engineers. So you've got some from the University of Edinburgh and some from Input-Output HK, or IOG as it's often known. The team works in collaboration with Blockchain Technology Laboratory, that's BLT, not the sandwich, supervised by Dr. Daniel Woods. So that he's a lecturer in cybersecurity at the University of Edinburgh. And you've got Professor Angelos Kaias. Professor Angelos Kaias, who's the chief scientist at IOG and the University of Edinburgh's chair in cybersecurity and privacy. Next steps to finalise the EDI. So here the next steps in the development of the EDI include finalising the methodology, developing a measurement framework, elaborating on core metrics, collecting data, and releasing the EDI and its open source software. So once the EDI is finalised, it will bring transparency, systemization, quantification, and objective measurement framework to the blockchain industry as a whole, which is currently dominated by hype, information asymmetries, and unstructured data. So who's the EDI for? So the EDI, once it's here, will bring clarity and understanding to the decentralization of different blockchain protocols. So it will allow regulators, users, and policymakers to make informed decisions about their adoption and use. So for regulators, the EDI can provide decision support on whether a particular cryptocurrency constitutes a financial instrument. You've got for users, the EDI can help them make informed decisions about which blockchain is safer for their transactions or whatever their project may be. And you've got policymakers. The EDI can impact the adoption of future decentralized systems by providing a standard measurement of decentralization. Now, the EDI could also lay the groundwork for characterization of digital assets. Some debate how assets should be classified. Decentralization has become an important factor. And as a result, the EDI could become a really useful tool for even lawmakers as well as regulators. But on top of all that, the software that collects and analyzes data for the EDI will be completely open source. So essentially what this means is that anyone can understand the theoretical foundations of the EDI and reproduce its results. So really, you can't have any complaining from anyone. And in fact, the whole cryptocurrency space as a whole can all come together and make this work. Conclusion. Once complete, this will be the first objective and comparable decentralization index that will be available for the whole crypto space. Now, it's pretty obvious IOG and the University of Edinburgh are dedicated to advancing awareness about decentralization in the blockchain industry. But this will increase the transparency and allow for people, regulators, lawyers, whoever, to make informed comparisons between different blockchain projects. And it's setting a standard for decentralization. And the EDI is helping to drive the whole industry forward and ensure that decentralization remains a key focus in the development of blockchain technology. Now, that brings us to the end of the article. Remember, the full article by Laura can be found on the AdaPulse website, along with all the other articles that we don't get a chance to make videos for. So on that note, do remember to click the like button, hit subscribe, and hit that bell button so you get notified as soon as we've got content available. Remember to get the all thing so you can get notified on every video that we do, because we've got lots of videos coming out. We are pumping them out faster than anything. And on that note, I'm Josh from ATM Stakeball, your presenter for today. I'll see you next time. Thank you.